Hey everybody, welcome back for Proverbs 29, verses 1 through 14. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for coming. If you've got any questions or comments, leave those in the section below. And if you're enjoying these, please like them or share them with your friends list and let people know that you're checking them out. Forgive me for my voice today. I am fighting off some allergy mess, or at least that's what I'm calling it. That's what everybody blames a cold on, right? So we'll go ahead and start with verse 1. He who is often reproved yet stiffens his neck. We'll try that again. He who is often reproved yet stiffens his neck will suddenly be broken beyond healing. So this is talking about someone that is constantly corrected, or people are trying their best to help them out and give them advice and give them reproof. But instead of taking that advice and instead of trying to correct the things that have been identified as issues, they just become more and more stubborn, until suddenly something breaks beyond healing, whether that's a job is lost or a family relationship is broken, or whatever the case may be. We're just warned here to not stiffen our neck, to not go against reproof. If someone cares enough about us to be speaking into our lives in that way, we should heed it. We should look into it and try to at least seek it out and see what God's trying to tell us through that. Verse 2: When the righteous increase, the people rejoice, but when the wicked rule, the people groan. This is a common theme throughout Proverbs. We've seen it a couple places. But when the righteous take power, when the righteous have gain in whatever arena it may be, people are happy, people rejoice, people celebrate with them. But when the wicked come to power, when they begin to rule, when they begin to get a place of influence, people are not happy. Verse 3: He who loves wisdom makes his father glad, but a companion of prostitutes squanders his wealth. Again, a common theme in Proverbs that we've talked about a couple of times before. But by loving and seeking wisdom, we can make the people around us proud, whether it's our parents or our wife, our children, our husbands, whatever the case may be. But by seeking wisdom, by loving wisdom, by making that a goal and something that we are a priority, something we're going after, we can make our family proud. But when we get lost into a world of sin, whatever it may be, you'll squander your wealth, and that the other side of that coin is that your family will be ashamed of where you are and where you've ended up. Verse 4: By justice a king builds up the land, but he who exacts gifts tears it down. So gifts here is footnoted to be heavy taxes. So a king who builds up the land, who provides infrastructure, who makes opportunities for people, he does that by justice. So by justice, a king builds up the land. Not by crookedness, not by injustice, but by justice. A king builds up the land, but he who exacts heavy taxes tears it down. So if a people are overly taxed, they get weary, they get beat down, and it has a negative effect. And we're not going into the politics on that one. So we'll just go on to verse 5. A man who flatters his neighbor spreads a net for his feet. So this is talking about being overly flattering, overly complimentary, whatever the case may be, sets a net or a trap, some type of hang up for his neighbor. So by being overly complimentary, not only are we not doing ourselves any favors, as we've talked about before, but we're also we're going to cause them to stumble too. So we need to be careful about that. Obviously, we should be complimentary and respectful, but not overly so. Verse 6, an evil man is ensnared in his transgressions, but a righteous man sings and rejoices. So an evil man gets caught and stuck in his transgressions, gets ensnared, gets caught up, can't escape from. It's not a joyful place to be, but a righteous man sings and rejoices. I don't think this is saying that a righteous man sings and rejoices because the evil man is ensnared. But as righteous men, we have a reason to be happy. We have a reason to sing. We have a reason to rejoice. We know the Creator of the universe, and He loves us. He's madly in love with us, and He cares about us. So why would we not sing and rejoice? Verse 7, a righteous man knows the rights of the poor, but a wicked man does not understand such knowledge. What you should take away from this is not only does the righteous man know the rights of the poor, but he seeks to protect, seeks to fight for the rights of the poor. It doesn't take advantage of people in a bad situation. But a wicked man has no reference for that. By choosing a wicked lifestyle, by ignoring the laws and rules of righteousness that we've kind of talked about, they just have no mental concept of someone lower than them having rights, or having to be treated fairly or well. Verse 8, scoffers set a city aflame, but the wise turn away wrath. So the two sides of this coin. So the second part says the wise turn away wrath. Excuse me. So the wise have the ability to take wrath that's pointed at them, or wrath in a situation, anger in a situation, a bad situation where relationships are getting tense, and the wise have the ability to settle that, to turn it away at least, whereas the scoffer just sets the whole city afire. Will blow up and cause issues within amongst their friends or amongst their enemies. It doesn't matter. They're going to blow up and deal with the consequences later. But the wise turn away wrath. The wise have the ability to hold that back and to redirect it in a purposeful manner. Verse 9, if a wise man has an argument with a fool, the fool only rages and laughs, and there is no quiet. So if a wise man, for whatever reason, decides to take up an argument with a fool, the fool only rages and laughs. The fool, it doesn't say, the way I understand it is that, the fool doesn't bring good points to the argument. The fool doesn't have a good conversation. He only rages and laughs. He just, rages and yells and screams and then laughs, at himself, at the fool for not yelling and screaming back, I'm not sure, or at the wise man for not yelling and screaming back. But the takeaway here is there is no quiet, there's no peace, there's ultimately no benefit that we've talked about before, how arguing with a fool is not purposeful, it's not useful, because a fool is either set in their ways or refuses to listen. That's how they became a fool in the first place. Verse 10, bloodthirsty men hate one who is blameless and seek the life of the upright. So people who are seeking blood are going to seek out one who is blameless. Excuse me again. And they're going to seek the life of the upright. That's kind of part of their bag. And so, by seeking to be blameless, we may be making ourselves a target for that. But I think we have protection from Christ to lean back on. But that's verse 11. A fool gives full vent to his spirit, and a wise man quietly holds it back. So a fool holds nothing back, just blows off the handle, whatever the case may be. So he has no filter, he has no holding back. But he just, he just lets it all out there. A wise man is wise about what he holds back and what he keeps to himself, what cards he shows, and how he handles the conversation. Verse 12: If a ruler listens to a falsehood, all his officials will be wicked. So I thought this was interesting because if you think about it, a ruler would be in charge of lots of officials, and then the officials are in charge of the people themselves, or they're in charge of other people who are in charge of the people themselves. But I thought it was interesting where it says if a ruler listens to falsehood. So if a ruler decides to, take advice from someone who's spreading lies, or if a ruler takes to heart someone who's spreading lies, all his officials will be wicked. Everyone in the organization will be infected by the ruler's foolishness, by the ruler's sin in this case. By the ruler listening to the falsehood, it infects the whole organization. And I think that's applicable to your business or your family. When sin comes into your life, it comes to seek to destroy and to kill. That's what it does, whether it's lies or whatever. And it's going to be an infection that goes throughout. It's not something that stops wherever you think you can stop it. It's an infection that comes in and permeates and goes through every part of your life and every part of your relationships. Verse 13, the poor man and the oppressor meet together. The Lord gives light to both of their eyes, to the eyes of both. So, anytime a poor man and the oppressor, the one who's being oppressed and the oppressor, but the Lord's still in control of the whole situation. The Lord makes them both able to see, and he sees the oppression, and he sees the injustices, and he's going to make it right. He's going to take out his vengeance. Verse 14, if a king faithfully judges the poor, his throne will be established forever. So if a king is faithful and honest and just in judging the poor, and again, it keeps talking about the poor, and I believe it's a kind of a representation of the least of these, whatever the case may be. So those who are oppressed, those who are put down, by dealing faithfully with those, it says his throne will be established forever. So I think in application to us, if we deal faithfully and if we deal well with those that are oppressed and those that are beat down, God's going to take care of us, and God's going to establish us forever, and he's going to make sure that we are provided for. And so that's where we're going to wrap up for today. We'll pick up with verse 15 tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you back here. Hope you have a great day. Thank you.